Hi, my name is Rahmo Abdi. I am a director of organizing and campaign here at PANA, and I've been working with PANA for the past 3 years. So our focus directly working with refugee communities, either former refugee communities and immigrant communities. PANA's work always led by the community leaders. So during monthly, we have a steering committee meeting. At that steering committee meeting, the community bring their issue forward, and then once they talk about their issue, that's when we really take on those campaigns. So the community identify the issue that they're facing, and then the issue that they're facing get into translate into to become a policy. One of the campaign we worked on was a TPO, temporary protection for tenant, and a lot of our community members were facing eviction. Their deposit was being taken away from them by some of the landlord, and they were facing unlawful eviction. So the community get together and decide to write their own ordinance, and then we put it forward to the city council, and then that protection was passed, but it wasn't really great what we wanted, but at least it's some type of protection being passed. First, I want to a little bit talk about when did I arrive to City High, right? I came in 1995. Half of my life I've been here. Right? I went to Hoover High School. At that time, City High was known as East San Diego, where welcoming a large refugee communities from Ethiopia, Somalia, Cambodia, Laos, and all that, were being resettled here in City Heights. And City Heights is more diverse community, different cultural group that live here. And I feel like when I talk about City Heights, it's like a melting pot, where all these different cultural group live. But the community that we serve at PANA is mainly refugees from Somalia and Middle East and South Asia and all that. Cultural or self-identity is very important for our community, especially for the kids who are born here, right? They know their family they're like the first generation here, but they don't know their culture because they were born here, they grew up in the United States, they were, what we, Somali Youth United and PANA, are partnered to do a cultural fest every year. So we've been hosting that cultural fest for the past 19 years. And at the cultural fest, we bring different African performance, from Nigeria, from Somalia, Ethiopia, Oromo. All those communities get together to celebrate sense of unity, and also letting our kids know this is where you guys came from. This is, I know you're an American, but this is the culture that you were born into, and then the kids really look forward to every year. And then the time we host that event is usually in July, which is July is the Somali Independence Day. Since 1960, that's when the Somali gained their independence. So we hosted during that time, but in honoring all the culture that came together. So it's very important for our youth to really understand where they came from, even language. So when I host that event, even every year, the parents and the kids, I look forward to it. And I'm a mother of 6 kids, and I want my kids also to know or have some kind of self-identity, where they came from and who their parents are, and to learn their parents' culture. This is really open to public, not only for the African community, but we wanted to share our culture to different other cultures who live in City Heights. Like I said, City Heights is like a melting pot, so many cultural people that live there. I see Hispanic community attending, I see Lao community attending, I see other people from Asian community just coming and sharing that food and performance, and it's really great of a family day, because it's we hold it at the Annex Library, which is outside, and we bring different vendors from different organizations. Resource vendors usually come there and set up their other organizations like IRC, Iftin Charter School, and all those sharing what they information they have, and also like other vendors selling their food, so it's really, for me, I call it a unity event where like all the city had united and just have fun that day. And another program that I'm really excited about is Pana. We purchased a property, 2.2 acres, which is going to be a cultural hub where we're going to host all different cultural organization, cultural group who will be housed in that property, and also going to have different type of community workshops and all arts and cultural stuff that will be going on in there. In this process, like we're in part of a process right now where we asking, Pana's not doing everything by themselves, but we getting input from the community what they want to see in that cultural hub, which is one thing that I'm very excited about, to see how all this cultural group can be in one place. If you want to, like, I feel like I usually call it as like get a passport, just visit all like those international organization or all different cultural group in one stop. So it's very important because all these cultural group are underserved communities, which is living in city height and does not have a lot of resource for them to sustain further organization. So this is going to be some type of affordable place where our cultural group can be hosted, and also since a lot of different refugee communities are working together, is kind of understanding each other's culture. One thing I always dream about, I'm really big on culture, to be honest, like I'm dreaming about getting like all this cultural group where we can host not only African Cultural Fest, but the culture that live within the city height. But in order for you to do that, you need resources, right? You cannot, especially for the Somali community, we don't have any performance here in San Diego. Most of them live outside San Diego, in Minneapolis. And you have to really like pay those performers to come and do, all those cultural folk dancers, all traditional stuff. So one thing I would love to see is, especially once we start that property, or anywhere in City Heights where we can host something that annually that represents City Heights and all the culture that live in City Heights. So without resource, we can't do that. So hopefully the city get to recognize that, and seeing how many beautiful, unique culture that live within D9, and then those community can get together and teach each other's culture. So I don't have to discriminate someone from different culture without knowing, how to not discriminate, but like offended them without knowing how to say a proper way hi. Like for example, as a female, you can't shake male's hand, right? So, but how can you teach other culture who does not know your culture, right? So this is, for me, is one of like teaching or learning from each other's culture. Host like workshops, weekly workshop from different cultural group, or have once a year unity events where you celebrate all the culture that live within the city heights. One of the biggest challenges, like even the community not understanding each other, right? For example, if I live next to an Hispanic family and I really don't know their culture, like, how am I going to approach them, But if especially like the kids that go to school together, right? One of the biggest challenge is the youth that live in City Height do not understand each other's culture, because they go to school with a different cultural group. So one thing I would love to see our city to implement is like even within the school district, they can have some type of cultural lesson for the kids where the kids get to learn each other's culture and promote. Let's say this month we're gonna do a Hispanic Heritage Month, and then next month it's gonna be African Heritage Month, and then the kids get to like learn from each other and not insulting one another, because I remember I had an experience when I was in high school. My brother used to run cross country, right, and they call him that. Oh, you run with cheetahs, thinking that the kids does not know that. So that's why lack of them not knowing. If you came from Africa, that doesn't mean like, you're run with cheetahs, or like you do all that kind of stuff. Because if we as a leader in the community or as an organization in the community take initiative to really work together and address those issues, our kids will be better understanding each other's culture. But to do that, there is a challenge because there's no funding, there's no resources. So hopefully the art and culture can put aside some kind of resource to really implement those activities or projects. So one of the things that I personally working on leading is language access, which is a bill 884, where we're trying to get votable ballots in different languages, in Somali, Amharic, Oromo, Arabic, or Farsi. So that's right now is at the state level, and the bill is on hold right now. So hopefully 2024 they're gonna re-erode it back, because our community really wanted to be a part of democracy. And if you don't know the language, if you cannot read in English, how can you vote? So we're trying to implement that. Votable ballots will be important for our community to be part of democracy, to understand, and they understand and vote for whoever they wanted to choose to vote for. So that's one of the really exciting campaign that I'm leading with different advocacy groups.